Good morning to all. Myself Dr. Nagaraju. I am working as an associate professor in Department of IT, MLR Institute of Technology, Hyderabad. In the today's session, we are going to discuss about an introduction to multi-threading. First of all, before going to multi-threading, you need to know some basic terms. What are the terms? Program. What is a program? Generally, set of instructions combined together. That set of instructions is called a program. Now, what is an application? Simple sense, set of programs combined together. That is called application. For example, MS Paint. MS Paint is an application which consists for writing. For writing, that is one program. For erasing, one program. For fill the color, one program. Such multiple programs combined together, that becomes an application. Now, the most important term, process. What is a process? Till now we know process is the program under execution is called process. That is in the point of operating system. In the point of operating system, a program that under execution is called process. But here we are discussing in relevant to Java. So according to Java, we are not discussing the program. Everything we called as an application. So, an application under execution is called process. Clear? So, anyway, both are same. Generally, program is simple set of instructions. Application means multiple set of programs. Now, what is a task? Task in the sense, consider a process. Whether according to operating system or according to Java, we have one process. Okay. Some part of the process, my process is divided into multiple parts. Some part of the process is called a task. For example, I need to log in some website. What is the first step? First step, you need to register and then log in and then view your details. These three steps are going to be done. Once the three steps are completed, you are logging into some web page. In this, that view results is one task. Login is one task. Registration is one task. Now you got it? So some part of the program or some part of the process is known as task. Now finally, multitasking. Multitasking means executing multiple tasks at a time. At a time in the sense, simultaneously is called multitasking. Suppose some person do more than one thing at a time. That is called multitasking. Now, coming to the point, this multitasking is divided into two types. One is process-based multitasking. Second one is thread-based multitasking. Anyway, multitasking is executing multiple tasks simultaneously. Now observe, I have one process, process P1, process P2, process P3. For example, process P1 is we are watching some movie by using some VLC media player. Process P2 is editing one Word document. Process P3 is downloading some software. Observe, here the three processes executing simultaneously. Remember, here in my system, here I am explaining some class. Meanwhile, in the background, some software is downloaded. Both my explanation and software download are done at the same time. Yes or no? That is multitasking. Here process 1 address is different to process 2 address. Both have different addresses. See this one? Executing multiple tasks from multiple processes. So P1 is one process, P2 is another process, P3 is another process. Taking the task from different processes is called process-based multitasking, where we are using operating system design. Why? Operating system only do multiple tasks at the same time. Just now I said, I am listening some music, meanwhile explaining some concepts, meanwhile some software is downloaded. All these control is under operating system. Now, what is our next point? Thread-based multitasking. Before knowing this one, first of all, you need to know what is a thread. Everyone know process till now. What is a process? Either application under execution or program under execution is called process. Now, before knowing thread-based multitasking, first I will explain what is a thread. Thread is simply a part of task. For example, this is one process. Again, this process is divided into some thread 1, thread 2, thread 3, like this. Some part of the task or some part of the process is called a thread. Simply understand, suppose ignore the term task, in a simple sense use the term process just for understanding. My process is divided into some 3 threads, that means 3 parts. Each subpart in your process, each subpart in your task is called a thread. So, thread is lightweight process. What is the meaning of lightweight? Not in terms of weights. The weight is in terms of execution time. Here observe, this process consists of, assume this process consists of 3 threads. The execution time for this process is assume 3 milliseconds, just for assumption. Now, what is the execution time of T1? It is compulsory less than 3 milliseconds. Yes or no? Why? T1 is divided into 3 parts. The total 3 parts time is 3 milliseconds. One part has compared to process less. That means the execution time for the threads are low compared to execution time of the process. That is the reason thread is called lightweight process and it is the smallest unit. That is, again it is not possible to divide the thread. It is not possible to divide the thread. Each thread have a separate path. One thread does not depend on another thread. One thread does not depend on another thread. See this one? This is the meaning. Threads are independent. Suppose if there is a problem in one thread, now what about other thread? So there is no problem. It does not affect. Why? One thread does not communicate with other thread. So if there is a problem in thread 1, it does not affect thread 2. It does not affect thread 3. Anyway, generally each thread have their own memory. Along with all the threads can have a common or shared memory also. Shared memory also. Now, you know the point of thread. Coming to thread-based multitasking means single process. Assume this is my process. This is one task. This is another task. This is another task. So, executing multiple tasks of same process, multiple tasks of same process is known as thread-based multitasking, where we are using in an application. Generally, in an application, we have multiple parts are there. So, executing multiple tasks of a single application, we are moving to thread. Clear the point? In terms of OS means OS can handle all the components, but an application can handle only that component. Now, finally, what is multi-threading? Executing multiple threads simultaneously. Executing multiple threads simultaneously is called multi-threading. Now, anyway, we know advantages. What are the advantages? I already said threads are independent. That means if there is a problem in one thread, it does not affect another thread. It does not affect another thread. And each and every thread have their own memory along with a shared memory. So, at a time, the two threads are executed simultaneously, multi-threading. That means speed of operation increased. That is, execution time is very less. See this one? It does not block the user because threads are independent. Yes or no? And you can perform multiple operations at the same time. That is multi-threading. And at a time you can perform all the operations, save the time. That means the execution time for threads are very low. And again, because of independent, it does not affect the thread if exception occurred in one thread. Now you got it? This is the introduction to multi-threading. Here what you need to know, thread is simply some part of the task. Thread is a lightweight process. Lightweight in the sense in terms of execution time. Now, multitasking means executing multiple tasks simultaneously. Simultaneously in the sense at the same time is called multitasking. So, again two types, process based and thread based. Process based in the sense different processes. We are taking the task from different processes. Thread based means different task from single process. Different task from single process. That is called thread based. Finally, multi-threading means executing multiple threads simultaneously is called multi-threading. Clear? Now, so just we understand what is a thread. In the next session, we will discuss how do we create the threads. Okay, that we will move to in the next session. That's the end of today's session. Thank you.